What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Just let me get ready here with my OBS and make sure that everything is being streamed properly. Um, all right, everything looks good. Hey guys, I'm Hero Serrano, and welcome back to my channel here. In this channel, what we do, I share with you everything that I know about game engine development. So if you have any question regarding on how to start your own game engine, what resources should you use, any libraries that I recommend, for you to read, that you should read, feel free to ask me here in the chat. This live stream is basically for you, more than for me. I just like to, I like to go on YouTube and do live streams where I, not only try to answer questions that may help you, but I also try to do a little bit of coding here and there. But the whole point of this live stream is for you. So what are we gonna do today? As you know, I've been developing my own soccer video game with my game engine, the Untold engine. And after some feedback, which I fixed and improved, it's now time for me to, play test my game all over again, and, release it back into the public so people can test it. So for the past couple of days, I've been, making some changes into my soccer game. One of the main things that I did is that I imported the latest version of my game engine into the game. So now the game is more, more stable. There was a huge bug that was happening with the game, which many people reported. So if you were one of those testers, thank you for reporting that. I really appreciate that. What I want to do now is I want to play test the game, and if time permits, I want to fix some other issues that I have seen. So let me go into my main screen and just let me double check that I'm, the right location here. All right, so if you are new to my channel, my name is Hero Serrano, and the game engine that I developed is called the Untold engine. It is a three-dimensional game engine, 3D game engine for Apple devices. It supports obviously Macs, iPhones, and iPads. So I've been working on this game engine for about 8 years now. It has most of the components that I want. In the past live streams, I spent some time implementing the GUI for the game engine, and I also some of the scripting. I also integrated a scripting language into the game engine. So this is what I love to do. I love to develop game engines, and if you can tell, I also love to play soccer, right? And since I do not have any talent to develop games that are entertaining, the only type of games that I'm capable of developing are soccer games, because I know the game very well, and I also have an idea of what I want in a video game when it comes to, FIFA or soccer game. So let me before we begin, you may be wondering, hey Harold, what type of books do you recommend for me to start developing my own game engine? Well, if that's the case, number one, feel free to ask anything in the chat here. I will try to help you. But I would also recommend you to go to my website, heroserrano.com, and let me bring it up here. And if you go to my website, you're going to see a link to the books that I recommend you to use, right? The first section of the books is books to get started. These are the books that I recommend you to buy, to read. And these books help me get started. There are the essential books that will help you develop the main components of your game engine, such as the mathematics engine, the rendering system, and the physics and collision system. These books are it. But if you are interested in knowing what other books should you get, well, if you scroll down, you're going to see all of the books that I use to develop my game engine. They are not only technical books, but also books that will help you, understand how to use Blender, for example, right? the software that you use to design characters. All right. So having said that, let me bring my game engine. Well, in this case, what I'm going to bring is I'm going to bring up the soccer game, not the game engine. Well, the soccer game is built on top of the game engine, right? So let me just bring this up. And what I want to do, because I do want to fix an issue, which is basically relates to, where are you at? This one. I need to improve the keyboard support for the game. Initially, I released the game only on mobile device for mobile devices, but many testers complained that it was very hard to play the game in portrait mode. And I kind of agree because as I was developing the game, I did notice that something didn't feel right. So what I did is that I modified the game so now you play the game in on landscape mode, both on the iOS and on the Mac, right? But now the problem that comes about is that I've been testing the game with my controller, which plays nicely. But however, I expect that some people, when they download the game, they may not have a controller available, and you may want to use the keyboard and the mouse, right? So I want to basically fix that user experience, because right now it's a little bit awkward. So let me just make this one. I'm gonna work on this issue. But before I work on this issue, what we're gonna do is we're gonna test the game a little bit. And I use GitHub, and if you haven't used GitHub, you should use it. I really recommend it, especially if you're a new developer. It's an essential tool. And here I have Git, right? So basically this is my branch, development branch. Actually, if I do this, you're gonna see all of the branches that I have. I do not know, ignoring ref with broken. I do not know what that is, but okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my issue 28. All right, so what I do is check out B issue 28. So now we're in that branch. All right, so if you do not know what Git is basically a version control. It's a very nice tool. You can either use Git through the terminal, such as what I tend to use, or you can use a GUI. It doesn't really matter as long as it allows you to work efficiently, right? So don't spend time, thinking should you use a version control through the terminal or through the GUI. It doesn't really matter. What matters is to use the tool that makes you most efficient, right? The end users do not care what tool you use. They just want to know that whatever you created is good enough, right? So don't waste too much time in that debate. All right, so let me build the game. Let me compile it. And again, we're gonna do some little testing, play test. And I'm gonna share with you also what's the whole point of the game, all right? So number one, when this launches, we are going to see the name of the game, but I'm thinking of changing it from Untold Soccer to something else. And also the splash screen doesn't look good. The reason is that I haven't modified it for the Mac system yet. That's still from the iOS, so it doesn't look that good. All right, so let me double check that I'm here. Good. All right, so the whole game is this, right? It's like instead of having 11 versus 11 players, my idea was to have 1 player versus 5 players, right? And you have basically 1 minute to tie and score the winning goal. So right now, when the game starts, you always start at with the score 0-5, right? You're losing by 5 goals, and you have 1 minute basically, and this is the time here to score. If you are aware, if you play soccer, you know that the 90th minute is the last minute, right? That's the end of the game. So basically, that's what we do, right? So right now we're gonna start, right? So Again, all of these players, you are the sole player here, right? You control him, and you need to score. You basically need to score the 5 goals before the time runs uh, out, right? So here we're just playing, and I'm gonna try to shoot, and I scored there. Good. Now I do see some issues that I have to fix. Um, One of them is the fact that the orange player, tends to rotate too quick in certain occasions. But let me just see this. So we have basically 15 more seconds to score 2 more goals. Cool. All right, so we have 6 seconds. Okay, good. Now we have 1 second and we lost. Right, so that's basically the whole gist of the game, right? Like you have 1 minute to tie and score the winning goal. Now, one of the things that I want to make my main goal is that I want to make the player feel that, that euphoria, right, of scoring a goal in the last minute. So what I have done is I have contacted some music composers on Fiverr, and I'm gonna hire someone that will create some cool background music for the game. That's basically my goal. I want to create that, that if that feeling of trying to score the winning goal right on the last minute. And again, that's because since I play soccer, I kind of, I know the feeling of it when you do so, and it's like such a cool feeling. So, and right now I'm gonna lose again, right? Because I'm losing 2-6, and I'm not gonna score. There you go, right? So basically, this is the whole idea of the game. It's very simple. Uh, Initially, I planned to only release it for the iPhone as a hyper casual game. But it slowly has evolved into this right now. I think that when you play it on the Mac, it feels way better. Oh my God, there you go. 2-5. We have 30 seconds to score 4 more goals actually and win. But it's not gonna happen if I do this. Okay, where did you go? Oh my God, where did you go? Okay, here it comes. All right, 15 seconds. Boom. That's 4. Okay, we have 6 more seconds to score. 4. And I lost. All right. Hey, Sarthak, how are you, man? Let's see. Hey, Harold, will you say it takes longer to finish a game engine if they do not have a particular game in mind? Oh boy, that's a really good question, Sarthak. And I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So, um, it will take you longer because you will be developing generic components, right? For example, if I knew right off the bat that I wanted to develop a soccer game, I would have not wasted so much time in developing other systems, right? That don't really need. For example, I spent some time implementing the particle systems, right? In a soccer game, um, you don't really need a particle systems, right? You're not gonna have you don't need those effects, right? But I didn't waste time there, but I wouldn't have spent time doing that, right? Uh, there are also some issues that I wouldn't have not wasted so much time calibrating my collision system, right? We don't really need to spend that much time. I would have spent much more time in other systems, however, such as the AI, right? And also with the scripting, integration of the scripting. So in a sense, um, it will take you longer because you don't have like a definite path, right? Then when you know exactly I'm developing this type of games and I know exactly which components to develop, right? But in the sense of learning, you're gonna learn a lot, right? But uh, in my opinion, if you're gonna develop a game engine, and this is a mistake I made, I would suggest you to have a game in mind already, so that way you can focus on that particular game. That's my experience. Um, I wish I would have known that when I started, but I didn't. So my game engine right now is kind of generic, but I'm trying to find an identity for my game engine, right? And I'm slowly, I think I'm making it more into a sports game engine than anything else. And I would also spend more time improving the physics, right? For example, the physics for the flight of the ball is something that I will have to improve. I'm not there yet. It works, but it's not perfect. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so let me do some more play testing here. Let me see. What type of game are you planning to develop with your game engine, by the way? Do you have one in mind, or are you right now? Do you have a generic game engine that you want to develop? All right, let's see. What I need to add here, guys, is I need to add um, some people that are rooting for the teams, right? Like some fans. And I definitely need to add some music to it to this, because it's the kind of no, not boring, but I need something more to this. Right now, I'm a beginner, but I want to develop a crime puzzle type game. Oh, that would be cool, dude. Like a 3D puzzle games. I really like those puzzle games that play with your visual illusion. Those are really cool. I would not be able to develop something like that, by the way. I would be here. I don't have that talent, but I do like to play them though. So I find them to be very interesting. And I also think that would be really hard to develop, in the sense to come up with. You need to be very creative to come up with those different puzzles that keeps you entertained, and you don't make them too hard, but make them interesting enough that you want to keep on going. Um, creating one level of a puzzle game would be is, I think anybody can do it, but creating multiple levels that keeps the player entertained for a long time is that's hard. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna do one more test, and then we're gonna go and add the keyboard here. I actually really like to play the game with my controller. I guess because I'm used to FIFA, right? So okay. Boom, there you go. In which language are you planning to develop your games, Arthak? C++, C. All right, okay, cool. Think we have done enough play testing. I kind of know what to do. So let me stop this. Now, let me just set this up so that we can actually use ImGUI for this, because I'm gonna need it. Loading world. I need you to get out of here for a second. And that one. Okay. So what's gonna happen here? Like I've said before, I integrated a scripting language. And if you are planning to integrate a scripting language into your game engine, by the way, a language that I recommend you to use is Gravity, mainly because it is super simple to integrate. It is extremely simple to bind your game engine functions, your methods, with the scripting language methods. You'll be surprised how simple it is. Um, of course, you can use Lua, but the bindings for Lua and C++ are a little bit confusing. But with Gravity, and let me bring up the actual web page for that. Gravity, boom, Gravity dash lang. This is the language that I'm talking about. It is very simple. You have no idea how simple it is to integrate this. And the cool thing is that the author, Marco, he's very really helpful. So he's if you have any questions, he'll respond to you right away. I have talked to him several times, and he responds like by the next day. So it's really cool. I'm curious, why do you use Metal? Is your game mobile? And I'm going to use C++. Yes. So the reason why I use Metal is because my game engine supports Apple devices, right? So all of Apple devices they run on Metal, on the Metal API, right? So the cool thing is that right now, I can run this same game on my Mac, and I can also run it on at the iOS. Actually, let me run it for you, right? So I can simply select the iOS here, select the iPhone 11 as the simulator, and it will run, right? I don't have to do any changes to that. I can also run this on the iPad, and I can also run this on the Apple TV with no changes at all. So that's why I use Metal, simply because that's what it is supported on Apple devices now. OpenGL has been deprecated from Apple devices, so I decided way back in 2015 to port my game engine from OpenGL to Metal, because I kind of knew that was coming. I attended a conference and they talked about it. So I had a feeling, okay, it's time for me to move my game engine from OpenGL to Metal. And as of now, it has worked great. I haven't had any issues. Yes. So I do want to. So let me just mention what you're asking. Sarthak is saying, I remember watching one of your videos, and I recall you saying that you want to tailor your game engine for AI, machine learning. Will you add a Python as a scripting language? So yes, actually, I'm reading this book, Deep Reinforcement Learning, because I'm really interested in the whole deep learning that is going on with games, right? How a game entity is able to learn, right? And play, in the scene, and find it, find out what to do, right? Basically learn. I find that very interesting, and one of the things that I've been thinking about is using my game engine with the soccer game that I have, and apply some deep learning to that. I'm thinking about that. I'm basically not only thinking about that, I'm also reading about it, because I don't really know anything about deep learning to that extent of applying it right now. Now, to answer your second question, will I add a Python as a scripting language? Uh, that's a really good question, right? Because if I'm going to add a deep learning, I need to give the users the ability to use Python so they can easily import those deep learning libraries. So to answer your question, if I go with the machine learning, I will be forced to add Python as a scripting language. Actually, I was also searching for several scripting languages that are out there, and one of the ones that I found was Python 11, PyBine 11, I think was the name of the scripting language. Um, so yeah, definitely I will have to add a Python, so that way you can use deep learning libraries. Yep. Gian Bernardo, didn't know that. I'm installing OpenGL on my Mac right now. You know what, Gian, you may consider also taking a look at the Metal Graphics API. You know, If you do that, you will be able to play your game on the Mac, on the iPhone, just like you see right now, right, with no changes at all. I can also play this game on the Apple TV if I wanted to, and it requires no changes. And if you're lost and not know like how to start, if you go to my website, let me bring it up. If you go to my website, I actually wrote some articles that will help you get started with Metal. It's not hard at all. It's a lot easier than OpenGL, by the way. So if you go to articles, if you go to learn and then you go to articles and you click on Metal projects here, I basically share with you everything that you need to get started with Metal, right? I explain basically everything you need to know on how to use Metal, what are the objects that you need to focus on, how everything works, the whole rendering pipeline. And I also, share with you some code. Now, I haven't updated this in a long time, especially the code, but the theory still holds, right? So you may want to take a look at it. Damn, I wrote this in 2016. Man, it's a long time. All right. So let's see. Let me go back to my Mac. For my game, I definitely want to make it for PC console. So Sarthak is saying, for my game, I definitely want to make it for PC console. So should I learn DirectX or Vulkan? DirectX supports both, and I think it's more industry standard. You know what, Sarthak? You're right. You don't want to learn OpenGL since it's no longer supported, and you should learn Vulkan instead. However, this is one of the problems that you're going to run across, right? Regarding OpenGL and Vulkan. If you do any search online for any tutorials, most of the tutorials that are going to come, the results that you're going to get are going to be related to OpenGL and not Vulkan yet, right? OpenGL has been around for a long time, so naturally, most of the searches will be related to OpenGL. So this is what you need to do. Try to learn computer graphics theory first. Focus on the theory first, and not just on the API, right? OpenGL is only an API, just like Vulkan is, right? So try to understand the whole computer graphic theory, and once you know that, then you should be able to use OpenGL, Vulkan, Metal, whatever. Now, what I do is that, let's say I want to implement something related to computer graphics on my game engine. I usually search for tutorials using OpenGL, and then since I already know the theory, I simply port the OpenGL to Metal, like the same idea, right? And that helps a lot. There are very few articles on Metal right now, right? And not as many as you would find on OpenGL, and same thing on Vulkan. So I would recommend you to focus on the theory first, and then also spend some time learning OpenGL, and at the same time Vulkan, just so you can use OpenGL as a reference, but your main goal is Vulkan, right? Unfortunately, there are not many tutorials on Vulkan out there yet. Now, for your first question, should you use DirectX or Vulkan for PC or console? I want to ask you to join my Discord server if you haven't done that yet, because many of the indie game engine developers in my server may be able to give you a better answer than that. I'm only focusing on Apple devices, so I don't really cannot tell you which API is better for consoles, for example. For PC, that would be Vulkan, definitely. But for consoles, cannot really tell you. I haven't had any experience with that. So And by the way, a good book that you may want to check out, Sarthak for Computer Graphics Theory, which helped me a lot actually. Was impressed how much it helped me. Is this book right here. If you go to books and you look for this one, Graphic Shaders, Theory and Practice, this book will, the first couple of chapters talk about the whole graphics theory and how the rendering pipeline works and stuff like that. And it gives you examples on OpenGL. You don't have to read the whole book, but I feel that once I read this book, I got a really good sense of computer graphics. Or if or you can just go to your library and you can just find any computer graphics theory book. You need to understand the theory, how the rendering pipeline works, and once you know that, you're golden. Because again, OpenGL, Vulkan, Medium, Metal, they're only a medium. All what they do is they transfer the data from the CPU to the GPU. That is it. That's all what they're doing, right? Um, so that's in a sense what it does. All right, so let me come over here. Boom, boom, boom. Do you have any experience using C++, or are you still learning? All right, so right now when the engine runs, you are going to see the ImGUI that I integrated into the game engine. And also, um, so what I need to do now, I basically need to load the configs for the game. And let me share with you some of the configuration for the game. Again, I'm using Gravity here, right? And I'm basically, this is a map, right? Where I am able to set the particular value for a particular parameter. For example, the speed of the ball as I'm dribbling, right? Or as I'm running, the 60, etc. When you're developing a game, right, and you want to fine tune your game, you want to use the power of a scripting language, especially for that, right? Because here I can come and I can change, for example, my dribbling speed. For example, let me do that. So right now I'm at 30, right? But I can easily change that, and I can make it, for example, 80. And now if I run this and I load this, you're gonna see that as I dribble, the ball is gonna go a lot further. It's not showing right now, but it will show in a second. You see how it actually goes further? You see that? So instead of you having to stop the game, change the parameter, do the whole compilation again, which takes time, through a scripting, right? You can simply save the file, load it, and you should see the changes right away. That's the cool thing about scripting, that you can do something like that really quick, right? So Sarthak is saying a little, but honestly, I feel like I will be able to learn along the way. The bigger challenge will be learning computer graphics theory and fundamentals of other systems. Yes, don't try to learn C++ all at once, and don't think that you need to be an expert on computer graphics before you start. You don't have to. I definitely was not an expert on C++, and I still am not. I'm still learning computer graphics theory. So you don't have to be an expert to start. The best way to get good at this, at C++, OpenGL, Vulkan, whatever, is to put in the time and the effort and try to learn along the way. My first version of my game engine was a total mess. I actually deleted it and threw it into the garbage can. It was a mess. right? Then slowly but surely I was able to learn and understand, how to implement the proper architecture, how to understand algorithms and design patterns. So that took some time and a lot of practice, but eventually you get really good at it, that you understand exactly what to do. So again, don't think that you need to be an expert or that you need to know everything to start. If you know how to write a function, you're set. Just go at it, and eventually you will figure it out. I use object oriented programming to do my game engine. Um, all right, so now one of the things that I want to do, like I said, I want to allow the player to control everything through the keyboard. All right, so I give that by okay, so if I set this to false, the controller will no longer be detected, right? But now what I need to do is in my game logic, right? The object that controls the gameplay, I need to let it know that we will be using that. So let me go to my function here, right? So here, this is a function that will basically receive all of the inputs from the player, either through the mouse, keyboard, controller, etc., or touch, right? So as you can see here, I have several cases. If I'm using the iPhone, I detect touch. This is the joystick. So what I think I'm gonna do, and I know it feels weird to play a soccer video game using the keyboard, but I don't know how else to do it if the player that is downloading my game doesn't have a gamepad, right? So I guess this is the only way to go about this. All right, so now let me see if I have this particular case. You put the engine, arrow key. Mac arrow key. Alright, so I think I do have that. Okay, break. Now what I think that I can do is Mac arrow key. Okay, let me see if I can do this. If controller input message that arrow key direction, and I think what I need to do here is I need to provide the vector for the vector 3n. So let's see if I do 0 1 0 and I simply hold on, let me check for this. What is this? This is a 2n vector. Alright, so let me just for the engine, for the logger, what I'm doing here, I'm basically using a singleton. Okay, so logger log. If I press that, it means I'm up arrow. I'm just testing this really quick. Else if logger log, and this one I'm gonna do left arrow. Okay, cool. So let me just copy this really quick, and now I'm gonna answer. Boom. All right. So Gian is asking, I'm trying to change my career, web developer, because I cannot handle how boring my job has been. Do you think it's impossible for a beginner with 6 months of experience in graphics to find a job? Um, to find a job in game development? Is that what you're asking? Or as an indie game engine developer? Are you kidding me? I don't think I oh, there you go. That's the problem. Honestly, so you only have 6 months of experience with in graphics to find a job. So, uh, if you ask me, nothing is impossible, right? You just have to go out there and try to find a, just put yourself out there, and see if you can find a, if you can find something. Um, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, right? Uh, but if you have like, some experience in doing game development, right, even some small games, right, it doesn't hurt. What I would recommend you to do to get to have a higher chance of getting hired is to have a portfolio of games that you have created, even if they're small, even if they are only like one level games, right? If you post them on h.io so that people can check them out, that will give you credibility, right? In my opinion, a resume doesn't really have that ton of weight anymore, because people nowadays, they want to see your portfolio, they want to see, what have you done, right? Anyone can write on their resume, oh, I'm really good at this, I'm really good at that, but hey, that doesn't mean that you're good at it, right? But if you start creating a portfolio of games, then that will help you a lot. That will definitely help you to get interviews. That I can tell you that right now. So you know that's where I would start, and that's what I would say tell anyone to do. The fact that I have a blog, and I share everything that I have learned, has given me so many opportunities. You have no idea. Um, you know, like sometimes I get companies asking me if I'm interested in doing some freelance work for them, which I have to turn down because I'm very busy. But people have, just because of a blog, right? Just because of that, uh, people they contact me often, for opportunities. So do that. I do not know Jonathan Blow up personally, right? But I've seen his videos here and there. All right. I think I cannot believe I do not have this phone. Yep, I do not have this particular operation in my mathematics. Yeah, I don't have the comparison, so there's no way for me to compare that they are the same. All right, so before I go with this, does it feel right for me to use the arrow to play the soccer game? Because I can actually use the WSD keys to do that, and then probably use any other key to do. Hey, Sarthak, yeah, no problem, dude. Thank you for joining the live stream. Appreciate it. See you next time, dude. All right. The only thing that I can think of is what if I change this? This is not part of my. Where do I have this guy? Because if I can modify this, I will be good. Yep, you too, dude. Okay, where are you at? I need to know where. Okay. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it and just make a change. Boom. Okay. So I either do that, or what makes more sense is to just add this particular operation here where I test if those two are equal. So let me copy this and I'll make a note in my GitHub to add that comparison, because I don't have that comparison between those two operations. Before the numerical. Okay. Boom. All right. So here, what I need to do is copy this. And put it over here. Okay. Now let me just add this to my repo here, so that way I know to add it. Oh, back, come on. Until engine issues. Boom. Okay, add a comparison vector to an operation. Okay, that should do it. Enhancements and 10.6, cool. All right, let's just do this and let's see if this works. It should work by now actually, because I added that, and so now we should be able to do the whole comparison easily. All right, cool. So let's try this out, and you're complaining because of that. All right, that should fix it. So as I'm waiting for this, I'm gonna answer another question related to wow, it's gonna take a long time to build. So let me bring something up here so that way I can answer some questions that you guys may have related to game engine development. So let's see. All right. One of the questions that I get often is, what was the most challenging aspect of developing a game? When it comes to, if you're asking me which component was the most challenging, I have to say that the collision detection system was the most challenging to develop. That by itself took me a whole year to implement, and I have to say that um, when I was developing the collision detection system, I was thinking of giving up on the engine. Imagine working on it for a whole year. Number one, trying to understand how to make everything work. Number two, trying to implement or implementing all of the helper functions that you need to develop the collision system. And then number three, realizing that all of your work, wasn't really working, right? All of your implementation wasn't really working because there were so many bugs and issues. And for a long time, my collision detection system, was crap basically. And more than that, um, since I was working in isolation, um, I didn't know who to ask for guidance. What ended up happening was that I wasted so much time implementing algorithms that were not really useful at all, right? Were just a waste of time, right? And I wish I would have had, a community back then, that I could ask, uh, you know, freely without them asking why the heck are you developing a game engine, right? And just ask, hey, how should I go about doing this? And so I wasted so much time doing that. So by far, the most complicated system was the collision detection system. Um, but it was also very fun to develop. I have to admit, um, that if I would go back to college for a master degree in engineering, I would focus on collision detection systems. That topic is really cool. Um, yep. Uh, let's see. I'm looking for the other one. What do you learn by writing shader toy pixel shaders? So I'm sure that you guys have seen have been to shader toy, and the question is, what will you learn by doing that? Well, a lot actually, right? Because if you want to develop your own game engine, you need to understand how shaders work, right? OpenGL, by learning OpenGL, you only learn basically the API that will allow you to take the data from the CPU to the GPU. That's basically what it is. But that doesn't mean that you know how to use the layer shading language, right? Which is allows you to create all of these cool visual effects, right? All of the visual effects are done using shaders. And it is a different language that you need to learn. But more than that, the mathematics that is involved when using shaders is requires a completely different mindset than what you are used to. You are basically manipulating the colors of a pixel, right? With again, it's a different mindset that it's really hard to explain until you start working on it, right, little by little. It took me a while to figure it out, but now I think kind of know how to work with it. But the cool thing about writing your own, shaders using Shader Toy is that it will get you acquainted with the way of thinking when working with shaders. Which, as an indie game engine developer, although you may not be creating, even though you may not have to create like this cool, insane visual effects, it will help you understand because essentially you will write shaders. You will have to understand how to work with them. Um, So doing that will definitely make everything a lot easier for you. That's my opinion. Uh, why is learning OpenGL so hard? Why is hard? Is basically actually the question should be why is computer graphics? Why is learning computer graphics so hard, right? Well, the reason is this. The reason is that for you to see something render on the screen, you need to have three different components working in sync and properly, right? Number one, you need to understand linear algebra because linear algebra deals with all of the transformations that are happening before something gets that happen before and during something gets rendered on the screen, right? Number two, you need to understand OpenGL, right? The effect of how do I send data from the CPU to the GPU. Then you also need to understand shaders, right? Again, shaders requires a different mindset when coding it, right? So you have linear algebra, which deals with matrices and transformations. You have OpenGL, the API, which is a little bit convoluted and confusing, and then you have shaders to work with, and all of those three main, I guess, components or systems, they have to work and sync and properly before you see something on the screen, and that's what makes computer graphics or OpenGL so complicated, right? I remember, the first time that I tried my hands rendering a cube on the screen. I was at Starbucks and I was reading, how to render a simple cube, and I spent Saturday, all of Sunday, until I got something on the screen, and I was so confused by the end of that day that I was like, I don't even know if I want to develop a game engine. Think about that. I already set my mind that I want to develop a game engine, and I was still trying to understand OpenGL and computer graphics. So that really, got me thinking. But at the end, by Sunday evening, I got like a cube, right, showed up on the screen. Uh, that was it. But what I did, I didn't give up. I just kept going. But from that experience, I understood that all of these loose components, they have to work tightly together for you to see something, and that's what makes things complicated. The next question: is it possible to learn Apple? Oh, I think I already answered this one, so I'm gonna skip that one. Is it true that you need to spend several years on learning C++? To develop a game engine, yes, you will have to put in a lot of time to learning C++. I've been doing this for 8 years, guys, and I don't consider myself an expert at all whatsoever. Takes a long time. All right, so let me just finally build, guys. Can you believe that? So let me load up the screen here, load up the script actually, and something's weird. Okay, I know what is going to happen. Okay, let me do this. I think that I need to change something before I go ahead and do that. But just for the heck of it, let me test this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna press the up arrow and the left arrow, and we should see something on the screen right now. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna see it either. God damn it! All right, never mind. Okay, I know how to fix this. Just give me 1 second. I need to bypass some of these configurations before we get to see something. Alright, so let me get rid of this. I need that one. This is good. Alright, so what I need to basically pause is this guy. I think this is the one that I need to stop. Alright, hopefully that works. Alright, okay, cool. Alright. I need to see what in the world is the problem here. Send message. Okay, since I just need to double check that this works, I'm going to do this. I know what's happening. It's something that I have to bypass for now, and that's what I'm trying to do because I want to make sure that I am able to test the arrows. Alright, so if I go up arrow, nothing is happening. Nothing. Okay, hold on. Nope. That's because I haven't played it. I can play. Okay, now if I go up, there you go. Left, there you go. So I am getting something. Okay, cool. So it seems that I can get it working. Alright, so let me just do the other ones. Okay. Let me put it here because what I want is, so it's gonna be up and this one is gonna be the down arrow. -1, this one's gonna be down. Let me just do this one. This one be the right arrow. And this one right here will be the left arrow. Okay, cool. So up, down, left, right. Okay, cool. That's basically what I need. Cool, all right. Now, let's see if I'm able to move my player towards that location. Interesting, because what I'm gonna need to do here, I'm gonna need to convert this for the vector selected, and this is going to be okay, hold on. If this is my up arrow, what it means is that 1. That's what it means. All right. Player movement. Let's call it player direction. Boom. Player dead equals for the engine. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. And this one is gonna come here. So this one is down. So it's -1. Now this one. And this one should be right, so the left, -1. Okay, so I need this one now. All right, so what else do I need? So right now I'm just doing that. I need to copy this though. Let me see. I think I'm gonna need it to. Okay. That may not be right actually. Alright, so let's just run this. Let's see. And this will be the last thing that I do because it's already 11:44 and it's late. But hopefully this works. Okay, so let me load up the script really quick. And let me play this. Oh boy, what the heck happened? Alright. Okay, so oh, look at that. Interesting. Actually, that was one of the issues that people reported with the iOS. I was having problems duplicating it. Now the cool thing is I hope I'm able to duplicate it right now so I can finally fix it. Alright, so boom. This is cool. I'm able to duplicate the problem, which is what I want. Okay, let me do it one more time. You know, sometimes when you have a bug and it is so hard for you to duplicate it, and people even have reported it that they have seen it once in a while, and there's no way that you can duplicate it. You do everything that you can, and the one thing that you wish for is that the bug, somehow shows up so that you can catch it and understand what's happening. And guess what? It is happening right now. It's happened twice already. So this is good because I want to see that. So I moved that. Look at that. All right, this is good because now I have an idea of what may be causing that bug to show up. So this is really good. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining my live stream. I hope that my answers helped you with your quest of developing your own game engine. I will be back on Monday, doing another live stream. So feel free to ask me, anything that you may want to know about game engine development on Monday. or if not, you can send me a direct message on either on my Discord server or through my website. But thank you guys so much for joining this live stream, and I'll